live. Yay. Well, welcome to what was GTFO. Well, it was FFS and then it was GTFO. And now, for reasons that are far too long and boring to explain, we are going back to FFS. So this is the Grow Traffic Friday Facebook session. We are here to talk about email newsletters. So because Simon Daly, you've got your hand up. What is it?
I'm pretty sure on Facebook it still says that it's GTFO.
Are you?
Could be wrong.
Well, Rebecca and I have just spent the last hour and a half.
Carry on with the introduction, Rachel.
Honestly, yeah, sorry. I mean, Jesus Christ. Right. Welcome to Friday's FFS. We are here today to talk about email newsletters. So we actually did a session not that long ago about email newsletters, which if you are interested in that, please do scroll back. But that was about how do you create a good email newsletter and what should you include on it, and, you know, what's the difference between a good and a bad one. Today, we're looking at how do you improve the sign-up rate for your email newsletters. So this is a question that was actually requested from my Bob Club. So some of the members in there were talking about this the other week, and they said, can you do an FFS about it? And I said, yes. So here we are. Now, because it's the new format FFS, though, we're still going to do 5 top tips to help you get better at something. But we're going to start off with something that is our new game that we've bought, because we're going to do an expo next Friday. So we've bought a game called Weird Things Humans Search For, so that we can get people to play it. So I am going to ask you a question. I want you to complete it, and one of the answers you give me has to be on the card, otherwise you don't get a point. So Hannah Weinhold, first of all, what's your name and where'd you come from?
My name's Hannah Weinhold. I'm from Grow Traffic.
Yay. And so the search is, why do I have so much? I want you to name me something that someone might search for. Why do I have so much?
Pubic hair.
Well, not quite pubic.
Body hair.
Well, you're close. It's leg hair. Leg hair is the very specific one that's on there. So I will give you that. Yeah. You could also have had bad luck, snot, earwax, rage.
I would have gone for earwax, yeah.
Or mucus.
Rage.
Rage. Yeah, why do I have so much rage? Oh, dear. Simon Daly, what's your name and where'd you come from?
Simon Daly from Grow Traffic.
Marvellous. Right, now the search is, has a monkey ever? What do you think people search for? Has a monkey ever?
Bred with a human.
Yes, mated with a human. It is on there. Well done. You could also have had dressed in leather, shot someone, touched a whale, asked a question, smoked weed. They were some of the alternatives that you could have had. So there we go.
Must confess that I have done that search.
Oh,
well,
okay.
As we know from previous Grow Traffic meetings, one of Daly's hobbies is thinking about animal husband. No, not even animal husbandry, animals mating.
Yes.
So Daly will have thought about whether or not a monkey shagged a human.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
specifically a chimpanzee, that's same thing.
Yeah. Same thing. So if you'd like to play more of that game, please do come and see us. We will be at the Northwest Shout Expo next Friday, which I think is the 21st of October. And I think it's at what used to be the Reebok Centre. And I never know what it's called anymore, but it's not the Reebok. But it doesn't matter. It's okay. It's fine.
Bolton Wanderers Stadium. That's the key.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, right.
It matters insofar as come and find us.
On to the subject we are here to discuss. 5 things that you can do to improve your email newsletter sign-up list. So this is a problem that people have. As I said before, you know, we did a session all about how to create beautiful, wonderful, interesting email newsletters. But once you've done that, how do you get people to actually sign up to it? There is a phrase that there's gold in the list, isn't there? That's a marketing phrase, I think, all about, your email database could potentially be one of your most valuable marketing resources as a business, because those are people who have actively, opted in to hear information about your business, to keep up to date with your news and your developments and what you're doing. So they are an engaged audience. That's like the holy grail that we're always talking about. How do you find your engaged audience? They're there. They're in your email database. But if your email database only consists of 5 people, then it's not going to get you very far. So we've got 5 things that you can do to grow that list and to get a really dedicated following. So tip number 1, and now this sounds really obvious, but it is make your email newsletter better. I've already said, we're assuming you're doing good ones. How are you going to make it better? And the key to this, as with all content marketing that you're going to put out, is that your email newsletter should not be about you. It should be about your customer. Hannah, how do people make interesting email newsletters?
Well, I think it obviously depends on the industry that you're in, but I think if you can provide updates that are pertinent to your end user. So, like, to use SEO as an example, there are updates that happen in the world of SEO all the time. There's rumored ones all the time, but it doesn't really impact most people. It impacts us, but our readers, you guys, business owners, you're not interested. It doesn't impact you. But when there is something that is big enough to have impacted you, like for example, the helpful content update recently, then we talk about that. Other things that you could talk about are complementary to your industry. So Rachel always used the example of I can't remember what it was. You bought something, and anyway, I'll think of a different example. So if
it was the hair thing. It was a hair
that was it. Yeah. So Rachel bought a fancy bobble, and rather than the next email newsletter showing her more fancy bobbles, it showed her ways to use her fancy bobble, which was better because then Rachel feels like a valued customer. She's nurtured. She's getting more ideas. She's talking to people about her fancy bobble, or because she's a nerdy search engine marketer, she's talking to people about the email newsletters that she received about her fancy bobble. So it's affinity. It's thinking about things that complement your service or your product that speak directly to your target audience and aren't nerdy industry updates.
Yeah,
unless
fancy
your target
bobble sounds
audience,
like you.
Unless your target audience is your other industry companions. Colleagues.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I was just going to say fancy bobble sounds like a euphemism for something, but there we go. Dali, anything to add on that?
Fancy bobble.
It is a fancy bobble.
Yeah, I would say it's just a case of, not to reiterate what Hannah's just said, but it's a case of just really understanding your customer and then presenting content to them that's relevant at the right time. I used to work for a company called Skiddle.com, who had their biggest channel was their email database. They sent it out every week on a Wednesday. Skiddle was a what's on guide and a ticket provider, and essentially what they did was they analysed the browsing habits and the buying habits of all of their email marketing kind of database, all the customers, and then emailed things that were relevant to them, so things that were close to them, or events that were about to take place that next weekend that were near to them or that they were probably interested in. So it's getting the content to people at the right time.
And that's the absolute key, isn't it? It's not about just creating a sort of generic newsletter that goes out, or you put your products on or whatever. If you are going to be specifically pushing products or services, you've got to make sure they're hitting people at the right time. So, don't show it them at the wrong time of day or at the wrong point in the buyer journey. So think about that. But also, for some businesses, it might, they might just be not ready to buy for a long time. Your email newsletter might be your best form of front of mind marketing. So you've just got to keep those people interested for a long time until they are ready. And, particularly I'm thinking if you're like a mortgage advisor, for example, somebody's only ever going to use a mortgage advisor, a couple of times in their life for most people. So you can't just constantly bombard them with information about how you're the best mortgage advisor. You've got to, and I think also if you were doing things, like, house prices have gone up, like they're also not interested at that point. They're not buying a house. So So how do you create content that's relevant to them? It might be about, how to improve your house, how to increase the value of your home, what the best way to do renovations is. And you might feel that that's nothing to do with what you do, but it's how do you just keep yourself on top of, front of mind marketing for those people who aren't ready for you. So yeah, Hannah, did you have your hand up then?
Yeah. So the other thing is, like, you raise a good point about, industry updates and stuff. Like, make sure that you're adding to it. So don't just kind of parrot what's happening. Any idiot with a phone that can turn on the news or whatever can hear that interest rates are rising and it's going to impact your mortgage. But so what? Like, talk directly to your customers and add something to it that kind of demonstrates your skills or your expertise or whatever, or your specialist knowledge.
It's absolutely about that. Key thing is it's interesting, but it's interesting to them. And I think, if I think about the people in my Bob Club, there's a couple of people who do this really well. One of them is a HR advisor. And so she sends out an email newsletter that is all about recent cases that have happened. Either they've happened to her or somebody else in a franchise. Exactly. Juicy. They are, you read them. Obviously they're all anonymized, but some of them you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that's going on. So you're just reading it purely out of nosiness, but I read her email newsletter every time it comes. Another one, he's a health and fitness, he's a personal trainer rather, but his email is all about health and fitness. So it's got recipe ideas in there and it's got, tips for people. It's not about pushing, now's the time to get a personal trainer. It's just about, it's winter, here are some nice soup recipes, things like that. So, again, it's just be interesting and not bang on about yourself. Okay, right. That's enough of me banging on about myself. 5 ways to increase your email newsletter sign up list. Number 1, make your email better. It can always be better. Make it about your end user. Number 2, simplify the sign up box on your website. Now, there's a few things here. Obviously, it needs to be simple, but we've also got to think, as with our SEO hats on, about what do you call it? I've forgotten what it's called.
GDPR.
Google?
No, not GDPR. Making sure your content loads quickly on your website.
Oh, Core Web Vitals.
Core Web Vitals. Core Web Vitals. There we go. Yeah, you can tell it's been a long week. Yeah, so we don't want pop-up boxes that are driving people insane. So Dali, how do we make sure email newsletter sign-up boxes are effective? You've been doing a lot of testing of this on the Grow Traffic website, haven't you?
I have done a lot of testing of it over the years, and I've done a little bit of testing over on Grow Traffic's site website. I think sign-up boxes, it's really difficult actually, because they used to be a lot more effective than they are now. People used to go onto websites and sign up to email newsletters and things like that, and they don't do that quite as much as they don't, because we're so used to kind of giving away our data, because we're so used to being a bit protective of it, and because we are so used to being bombarded with information. I think that we're less inclined to give it away these days. So I almost say that there's not a massive point in putting just like sign up to our newsletter, and unless you've got something really compelling, which most, especially service businesses, don't have. But you can then couple an email newsletter sign up with something like a bit of gated content, so you're giving them something in return in order to generate to get their email.
I think that's the key, isn't it? When I think about you're right. I would sign up to somebody's email newsletter. Now I'm in the mentality of my inbox is packed. It's probably not going to be very good. If I want to find out about your business, I'll go onto your social media. So I'll do it on my terms, not yours. So, and that is a widespread mentality now. So I think you're right that, you've got to give people a reason to do it. You've got to give them something in advance. And I mean, I don't know what you two think about this, but I feel like now even gated content, it's got to be good. You used to just be able to whack an ebook together, didn't you? And send that off. But even now, I think people are much more expecting of something better, something that's going to be more beneficial to them. Because again, I did this sort of 8-10 years ago, downloaded a load of ebooks to sign up to it. Never read the bloody things. They just sit there on your laptop, don't they? What do you think, Hannah?
I think I'm always really reluctant to give my email address over unless I really, really want it. Like, and I can't find it anywhere else. I won't give over my email address because I'm so sick of being spammed. And this is the thing, isn't it? Like, you get so much shit every day. And I mean, I went through my emails this morning and literally about 30 emails was spam that I've got on mailing lists, and I never read any of it. I just automatically delete it. And there might be some good stuff in there, but I will never know because I'm so bloody sick of receiving a daily email.
Yeah, it's just a barrage, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think like...
So what would make you put your email, if you were on a business, say one of the businesses that you went networking with, and they said, sign up to my email newsletter, what would make you do that?
I will sign up if it says, will not spam you, or you'll literally get this, or our email newsletter is once a month, or whatever. You know, if it gives me, or we'll include this, this, and this. If it gives me an incentive, or the other reason I sign up to email newsletters is if I'm going to get money off next time I shop. Yeah. And then I have a special dedicated spam email address for that sort of thing. But so, yeah, if it's incentivized, or if I know what I'm signing up for, then I'll sign up for it. Or if it's something that is going to give me ideas, like a Skiddle email, like the only ones that I am signed up for that I look at are events and stuff, because that's what I'm into. So because they give me ideas and it's not just, you know, talking about themselves, then I will sign up to them. So I think, like, whilst the sign up boxes keep the process simple, don't be afraid of giving a little bit of information about what your newsletter contains, how often it goes out, and, you know, why somebody should sign up to it.
That's the balance, isn't it? So you've got to explain to somebody what they're going to get. And e-commerce shops, you're right, are great at this. They do have pop-up boxes, don't they, that say, you know, get 25% off this order if you sign up to my email newsletter. I will do that. You know, I might unsubscribe from it later, but I'll do that because that's a decent discount. If you can't do a discount, or you can't give away like a free audit or a free assessment or an initial something or other, then absolutely you've got to make it clear to people what they will get, how often, and what it's going to contain, what's the benefit to them, what they're going to get out of it. You know, and say, it's, you know, we're not going to spam you, we promise we won't pass your details on to anyone. And then the next bit is that sign up box needs to be as simple. What do you really need from them? You need their email, the first name and the last name. That's it. Most of the time, you don't need anything else. You can start to gather the rest of the information once they're on there, and you can use, you know, various tools and things to start working out who's on your database and segmenting them and all the rest of it. But to get them to sign up, just keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, make your email newsletter better. It can always be better. Make it about your end reader. Number two, simplify that sign-up process and be explicit about what people are going to get. And if you can give them something, give them something. Number three, use social media, make use of social media. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You know, obviously, it's great to run a competition every now and again, you know, win a £50 Amazon voucher if you sign up to our email newsletter. We also do that when we go to expos. That's another good tip. So we just have a jar on the table, and you put your business card in, and it says, win a £50 Amazon voucher if you sign up to our newsletter. And after every expo, we give one of those away. So that's, you know, a good way of doing it. You could do exactly the same thing on social media. And if you don't have that, you know, if you don't have a service or a product that you can offer a discount on, that's a good way of doing it, buying something that you can give away. But the other way is obviously, you know, sharing the email newsletter to your social media profiles. Hannah, do you ever do this, Hannah, when you get an email newsletter? Do you ever share it?
When I receive an email newsletter?
Yeah, so sometimes I will get, and this might not be relevant to everybody, but because I do a lot of stuff with the Sir Optimists and, you know, other women's stuff, if UN Women send me oh, shut up. So if UN Women send me an email, for example, or the Fawcett Society or whatever, they're really good because what they do is they provide snippets of the email is broken down. It's like snippets of information, and they say, you know, tweet this or Facebook this, and it's usually a statistic with a graphic, and you can just take it and share it, and it's bits of their email newsletter that are then being shared. It's hard sometimes if you are like a service industry, but I do it quite often. You know, again, they've helped me. They've provided me with some content, and it's relevant to me, and it's relevant to the message I want to share. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I do that if it's easy to share, or if I link through to an article or a blog or whatever, then I'm more likely to share the blog. But I would never say, this is a fantastic email newsletter, why don't you sign up to it?
Yeah.
Unless it's
But
my own.
well, yeah, but I mean, again, it's just about getting that message out there, isn't it? It's just about sharing it. If somebody is sharing content, you can put your little brand in the corner of the image, or you can use a quote from yourself or whatever. There's ways of just making it about your business that increases that visibility, and hopefully once people have seen it, they might sign up. What do you think, Dali?
Sorry, go on.
No, it's all
No,
right.
okay, go on. Carry on.
I was just going to say, I think as well, it does depend on who your target audience is, because if your target audience are like end consumers, then like thinking about it from a service perspective, is that going to benefit your, are you going to be able to come up with some statistics that benefit your end user or something shareable? Possibly not. But if your end user or the target audience of your email newsletter are other industry professionals, and you're doing it to raise your profile or to generate thought leadership or social media following or whatever, then that would be a really good way of getting reach. So thinking about statistics or content or social media posts or graphics that they can share and kind of help them like push an agenda, I suppose, or like, so for us, for example, it might be a stat about Google or an algorithm update or whatever, if we were talking to other search engine marketers, which we're not, so we don't. Good chat, Hannah.
Yeah. No. I mean, it is relevant, because I think the thing is, like, I'm thinking if you were, for example, a lawyer or a HR professional, LinkedIn might be your primary channel. And again, if you were providing somebody with think about why people share content on social media. People share content that either expresses something about themselves or that makes them go, oh, I didn't know that. So, if you can provide sort of statistics or facts or figures or case studies or something that makes somebody go, oh gosh, that didn't know that about my industry or my sector or whatever, and say explicitly, share it on LinkedIn, tell people. You can do the similar thing with events as well. If you're running events and stuff, you can ask people to share it. Please share this on your social media if you think it's appropriate. There's no harm in that. Have you ever seen this done effectively, Dali?
I'm just trying to think if there's anywhere that I can think that it's not really. There's nothing that really springs to mind where anyone's got it particularly right. No, nothing springs to mind. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you know what I've done here? I've mixed up points number 3 and 4.
Oh my God.
I know. This is terrible, isn't it?
Absolutely disgraceful.
Shall I leave? I'll go.
I don't know how. No, because then me and Della will just sit again.
Yeah. So anyway, right. Well, so yeah. Point number 3 is use social media, and use social media to request signups from people, and you can do competitions. You can encourage people. Point number 4: encourage readers to share your content. I think the other thing you can do with your own email newsletter, don't forget, is share it on your own social media. Again, people use these channels in isolation, don't they? So they just, they just put their social posts on the social. When you've sent a newsletter out, share that, put a tweet out or a Facebook post that says on email newsletters just gone out. If you want to read it, MailChimp allows you to do this, to put a link to it, to say, go and check out our newsletter, and if you like it, sign up to it. So show people what they will be getting. This is the other, like Hannah was saying before, people assume they're going to be spammed. But if you show them, actually, this is the type of useful content that goes out on my email newsletter, they might go, oh, actually, yeah, no, that does look genuinely interesting. I'll sign up to that.
That's a good point. Or you could, I mean, even if you can't do a link or whatever, if you could always just put a screenshot or an image of your new email newsletter on your website, like on a page, to get people to sign up. I tell you what really grinds my gears about email newsletters, and I don't know if you're going to come on to this, but it's when they're bloody massive and there's loads of text. I mean, I would rather have just a little teaser and a little bit of an explanation, and then let me click into something and read it properly. I think, what's that shoe thing called? They're like discount shoes, like good, like designer shoes. I can't, like shoe Shopper or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Don't know.
Anyway, they will just give you like a row of shoes, like 5 pairs of shoes to have a look at, and I always click in and have a look at the shoes, because but I would never scroll. So like, especially if you're writing, you know, if you're sharing content, blogs and articles and stuff, don't put your entire bloody blog on your email newsletter, because I'm not sitting there and reading a massive newsletter, but I will click in and have a quick scan.
There was a newsletter that just, you reminded me there was a newsletter that another person I used to go email networking with, they sent it out, and it was like it was specifically for IT professionals. A lot of IT companies signed up to this. Whoever created this company must have made a mint. But basically, they paid £99 a month, and they got email newsletters, social posts, you know, an ebook, all sorts of stuff. But the email newsletter, it was like a magazine, and you actually click through it, and it was pages and pages long. But it was really quite technical and fundamentally boring, you know. And again, it wasn't interesting. It didn't grab me. You know, maybe if they'd given me one horror story about what happened to the company that didn't pay attention to their IT, I'd be like, oh, that's juicy.
I'd read that all day long, yeah.
But it wasn't. It was like, 10 ways that you can be more secure in your business. Like, snore. That's why I employ you, because I don't care about this, you know. So again, it's that, absolutely don't make them too long. Nobody in the world has got time to sit there and read a magazine about your industry. Otherwise, they'd be in your industry.
100%.
Okay, so just a few things then quickly. You know, when we say about incentives, we've already said about, you know, running, you know, Amazon vouchers, you know, giveaways, that sort of thing. Would you run like competitions? I know somebody used to get a lot of Facebook posts because they ran a weekly competition that gave away a prize every week. Is that the sort of thing that you would do frequently, or would you do that as a very rare type of thing? Dali, I'm asking you this question, really.
So competitions, are we going to talk about competitions, giving things away for free? I would suggest do them very sporadically, be careful with them, because not only do you, it depends on your email list. So quite often your email list will be made up of your existing customer base. So if you're always sending out like discounts and things like that, or free things that they just paid for, then before you know it, you can easily alienate some of your existing customer base. You do get, you know, much higher clicks from emails that have subject lines like that starts with that offer or discount, things like that. Well, you can do, but use it quite sparingly, because I think you can also disengage your audience as well if you're constantly sending that type of thing out. You start to look a bit spammy.
I was going to say, don't you trigger spam filters with stuff like that?
Yeah,
you can
things like if you've got, you know, emoji offer in capital letters, emoji, that generally is going to go into a spam filter, isn't it? So yeah, you've got to try and be sort of genuine about it. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Because there's obviously part one of this is, you know, growing your email newsletter, but part two of it is keeping it. And a lot of people will sign up to your email newsletter because you've done a special offer or you're at an expo or something. And then you tend to lose them. And the reasons you will lose them is because they feel like the content isn't valuable to them, because they're getting it too often. They're drowning in emails, all that sort of stuff. So really, you know, talk to your audience, I would say, about content. In fact, that leads us on to our next point. Give your readers more control over the content. And that is, you know, physically asking people, how often would you like to receive it? And again, MailChimp allows you to do this. People can go into their email preferences and choose, do they want a weekly roundup, a monthly one, you know, a quarterly one? But also ask them, what type of content would you like? You know, what's useful to you? Obviously, your stats and your analytics and stuff are going to give you a hint about what people are reading. But people these days, we're all primed for personalization, aren't we? We sort of expect it from everything now. And we like to have a degree of control over what we're receiving. What do you think, Dali?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think it's, I mean, going back to kind of GDPR, I know we've not really touched on that, but as much control over the way that you are going to kind of communicate with people, whether that be a sales message or not, will help protect the business and make sure you keep those your readership for as long as possible. I suggest, and make them convert more.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a whole other ball game, isn't it? Getting conversions through your email newsletter. But I think just on the GDPR, because that is a question that comes up a lot, isn't it? People are really nervous now since GDPR about their email newsletter. And the thing is, if you've got a legitimate reason to contact somebody, i.e. they have been or still are a customer of yours, then that's absolutely fine. But yes, for everybody else, you have to get their explicit permission. You cannot just add people. One thing I used to do though, when we were, in the before times, when we were networking and we'd give out business cards, every time somebody gave me a business card, I would say, do you mind if I add you to our email newsletter? 9 times out of 10, they would say, no, that's fine, go ahead. Because I've caught them off guard. They weren't expecting it. So they'd do it. So I'd come home with, 4 or 5 from every networking meeting and just add people. Again, expos, conferences, anything like that. As long as you are upfront as to why you are collecting names or emails or cards or whatever it is, you can add people. It's fine. Hannah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like with personalization, it is really important, and it's not too hard to do, but I think it will help you navigate around those spam filters as well. Because if your newsletter goes into lots and lots and lots of spam inboxes, then what's the bloody point? So
Yeah.
Whereas personalizing it and then just taking a little bit more time, can help you avoid that. And like sometimes if you think about conversion rates on email newsletters, they're notoriously low, but it's better to convert more of a smaller number than to convert none of a bigger number.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And like we said before, they are a more engaged audience. They've either been your customer or they've actively opted in to receive content about your business. So, they are much more engaged and therefore are much more likely to convert. And therefore, if they do convert, they're much more likely to become loyal and potentially, spend more with you. So they are valuable. They are there. But absolutely, you've got that really fine tightrope to walk between keeping people engaged and getting on people's tits. And the minute people have no patience anymore, the minute you start getting on their tits, they will be gone. So it's better to, walk that line sensitively, cautiously, keep talking to people, keep asking them, make sure they are getting content that they want. And if they're not, you can put an extra sort of sign up box in when people are going to unsubscribe that says, why are you unsubscribing? Can we get a second chance? Can we show you something different? That sort of thing. It gets into the more sort of realms of the automation period, automation systems rather. But, there are ways of doing it. So just try and give people as much control as they can. And that might come down to just having conversations with people and asking them. Okay, so we've come to the end of time, the end of all time. We're at the edge of a supermassive black hole. 5 ways to increase I was just listening to a podcast with Brian Cox on 5 ways to increase your email newsletter sign-ups. Number 1, make your email newsletter better. It could always be. Make sure it is about the reader and you are giving them interesting content. It is not about you. Tip number 2, simplify the sign-up process. So make sure that box is not a pop-up, but it's on the website and it's just asking for the basic information you need. But also at the same time, explain to them what they're going to get. Tell them it's not spammy. It won't be very often. It will be genuinely interesting conversation content. Number 3, use social media. Use social media to post about your email newsletter, but also use it to ask people to sign up. Give them snippets of the type of content that they are going to receive. Maybe run a competition just to get some sign-ups and things. You can do the same thing with reviews. Number 4, encourage readers to share your content and provide incentives if needs be. So again, if create little shareable snippets of information, statistics, potentially something that they can easily share, but make sure it's interesting and relevant to them. And if you need to, offer them, if you share this piece of content, we'll give you 20% off your next order or whatever, do it. Or you can also invite them to ask other people to sign up as well. Both of you, a lot of companies will do this where you both get £5 off your next order or something if you get somebody else to sign up. So again, just think about incentivizing it. And number 5, give readers more control over their content, how often they receive it, what format it comes in, and what it contains. That will keep people loyal. Simon Daly, final tip.
Personalize the content as much as possible. Give them the information that they need at any specific time, and keep your subject lines kind of snappy and specific about what you actually want them to do.
Okay. Hannah, top tip.
Don't make it too long. Don't make it too texty. Link out. So rather than having huge chunks of text, you're segmenting it properly. It's nicely designed, and you're linking to longer articles.
Okay, and mine would be incentivize. Nobody will do anything for nothing these days. You've got to give people something. If you want people to sign up to your email newsletter, you've got to make it worth the while. So what can you do to make them? What are you going to give them in exchange? And if it is gated content is a really good way of doing it. But again, it's got to be good and it's got to be useful, not just something that they'll sit and ignore. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. We are back in 2 weeks' time where we will be talking about local SEO. That was another subject requested. Yeah, we haven't done local SEO for a while, so we'll be coming back to that. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Liz, for tuning in as ever.
Thank you, Liz.
Have a lovely weekend, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.